I was preparing my lunch. I put something on the burner, and then some people came to the gallery. And I went down to talk to them, and I knew that I had my lunch on the cooking. But I thought, well, it would be something stopped me to go back or just said them, just wait for me a second and I'll go to switch it off. So I stayed with them, but I went up. It was all burned to ash. The house still smells terrible. So I did my worksheet on it. And it's really, I mean, it's so many things coming out of it. And if it would be possible to do the work with you on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So what did you write down on your worksheet?
Yeah, I wrote it down. So I'm angry with me because I was angry at me, not at people, actually, at me.
Mm-hmm.
I was unable to say and do what I needed in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is an interesting kind of worksheet and this happens a lot when I write a worksheet on myself, which sometimes I do. Normally I write a worksheet on someone else, but sometimes I write it on myself, and it's kind of like it helps with the blaming myself, like that aspect of it. But there's often another layer of the stress too, and that's often what started it out. Firstly, something made me not say something, and then I'm mad at myself for not saying something. So I just want to mention that so that you have that option when you're writing a worksheet or just trying to decide on what the stressful thought is. And one thought that comes to mind for me in this situation is, and it may not even be a judge your neighbor worksheet, but is to notice if there's any motive for not saying something to the people when your lunch was going to burn if you don't say something. And the motive for me usually comes in the form of like, I want them to something, or I need, or I don't want, anything like that. And I often find that those motives, they're often kind of hidden motives, are what's making me not say something. And so those can be questioned too, in addition to questioning a judge your neighbor worksheet on yourself, like that blaming, like I'm upset with myself because I was unable to say what I wanted to say. So just for a second, think about that and consider, was there anything you were wanting from them that may have been preventing you from saying what you needed to go check the stove?
Yeah, definitely. And I did this. I put lots of lines when I was questioning what was my motive was to stay there with them, knowing that something is wrong in my kitchen. And actually, it was I was really to be liked by them.
Yes.
Because they came, they wanted me to give some master classes, and they were admiring my work, and everything was so pleasant. So I didn't want to break this connection.
Yes.
It was so terrible for my ego to stay there.
Yeah.
And it just absorbed all this, these pleasant words that they've been saying. And I said, well, I could kind of sacrifice my lunch, but it won't be burned to such point. I couldn't imagine that. So I thought, well, a little bit probably would be burned, but it's still so pleasant to stay with them. I can't do this, just say them. And then it was another one, I was a bit ashamed as well. In the sense that we had the connection, so we've been talking, and just jumped in and say like, wait, stop. I need to go up, just give me what I say. Even this I couldn't say. And because I feel we had this good connection and communication going between us. So I thought, well, that's kind of almost inappropriate to do.
Okay,
And
that's a good one.
I was ready to even to sacrifice my lunch for, burn my lunch to not to do that, because it my terms it was, but when I was when I saw the disaster later, like all flashes and the smell and the clouds of I was just like, and still the whole house just like, it's so full. And obviously it didn't worse this 1 second, just go up and turn it down and move it from the stove.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the two sides then you can see, and this is very common. Whenever I notice that I'm judging myself, I often find that something else started it also, which is like either these motives, or could even be Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on them. I don't know if that's exactly it here, but in any case, it's like they're just two layers of stress, and you can work either layer. One is self-attack because I didn't do it, and the first is the motive why I didn't do it in the first place. So do you have a preference in terms of where you would like to question today?
I still, because I was really confused with this me and then turning it into my thinking. So I think I would like to stick to my worksheet, because I noticed what you said, and I'm going to do this later, but I would like to clear for myself, if you don't mind.
Perfect. Okay, good. So read me your statement number one again. Read the whole thing.
I'm angry with me because I was unable to say and do what I needed in that moment.
Yeah. Okay, so is that true? You were unable to say and do what you needed in that moment.
Well, at that moment, seems like I wasn't able.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And can you absolutely know it's true? You weren't able to say and do what you needed to do.
No, it's not true. Yeah, of course I was able, but I didn't do this. So that's so obvious, even like with the second question. Yeah.
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 It was a good theory while it lasted.
It lasted only for a second.
It only lasted one question. Okay, so how do you react? What happens when you believe that you were unable to say and do what you needed to do in that moment?
I feel that I feel certain shame towards them, that I have to attend them, even sacrifice me, in a sense, like me in my lunch, or even myself for them. And that really struck me when I saw that, like the idea of the bringing myself to sacrifice for nothing, basically, just her. But it was really strong in me in that moment. And unable to jump into the conversation and break it.
Now notice the thought that we're questioning here is slightly different. It's I was unable to say and do what I needed to do in that moment. So now we're in the kitchen and the smoke is there, and this is the situation for this worksheet. So when you're standing in the kitchen thinking about the past and thinking I was unable to say and do what I needed to do in that moment, how do you react? How do you treat yourself?
I feel really stupid, really like I paid for my huge stupidity, and for I really blame myself, and even I start to blame these people, saying like they came exactly in the really worst moment of the whole day when I'm preparing lunch. Why they didn't came after or before, just right in that moment. And I just blame them. Well, I blame my chicken because it's burned so quickly. So everybody's around is guilty of the whole thing. Yeah, and it's almost like almost premeditated. But mostly I blame myself, and just like my stupidity and this almost like childish feeling that comes really from the early childhood, that I wouldn't stand up for myself. I would just let people have their way, and I wouldn't stand up for and or say something or defend myself or be assertive. I wouldn't do that. And I knew that it would hurt me in a sense, but still I wasn't able. I was, in a sense, it's kind of the respect for these people is so much stronger than feeling security, like providing security for myself.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing as well. Like other people, they're much more important than me.
Yeah. 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 I can relate. Yeah. So who would you be when you see all the smoke and your chicken is burned? Who would you be without the thought that you were unable to say and do what you needed in that moment?
Probably I would just jump and just open the window and, well, clear it up, the whole mess, and still have nice feeling from the meeting with these people. And not beating myself up the whole day and today, and not continuing all this talk to myself during these 2 days.
Yeah.
I would be just that what it is that need attention now, this smoke, and what can I do about this? That I would be doing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So turn the thought around. You were unable to say and do what you needed in that moment.
I'm able to say and do what I need in that moment.
Yeah. And I'm still holding that time in the kitchen. So it's already past. So it's like even the word I was unable, like I keep the was there because it's referring to the past from the kitchen time. So
Mm-hmm.
the turnaround is I was able to say and do what I needed to do in that moment. So if you look at that, how is it that you were able to say and do what you needed in that moment?
It seems so easy. That's the thing as well. It just seems so easy just to say, like, excuse myself and do what I needed to do, and it would take just a second. Of course, I was able to do this.
Yeah. So, but notice how that like this is naturally how I might start to answer this question. But notice whether this turnaround is bringing you into your story more or taking you out of your story. What do you notice? That it's making you feel more.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like separate story. If I look at myself just in general, of course I was able to do this, but not in that moment. I'm still
Yeah.
going out of that moment.
Yeah. And so what's happening is then, even though I'm finding a turnaround and I'm finding an example of a turnaround, in reality, what I'm doing, or what I'm experiencing you doing in that, is that it's actually still blaming myself that I didn't do what I should have done. It was so easy. It should be so easy. And then when I think that, I feel even more stupid because I didn't do it, right? So this is this is where, like, it takes some real stillness when you're doing the work, to, even though the turnaround looks like it's pointing somewhere, you have to like feel, is this bringing me into my story, or is it taking me out of my story? Is it creating a more balanced feeling inside of me, or is it making me feel even more like, oh, I can't believe I did that, kind of feeling? So when I'm answering these turnarounds, I'm always looking to see, is this bringing me closer to myself or further away from myself? Is it increasing the blame, or is it decreasing? And as I notice that, then I can kind of steer a little bit inside of the turnaround and find a way that I will hopefully find a way that's like, I can feel is coming closer to loving what is, rather than trying to
Mm.
blame myself for something that happened, that's already done. So, is there any way we can consider this turnaround like that? I was able to say and do what I needed in that moment. Maybe you have to think about what you, I was able to say and do what I needed in that moment. Like, what, you may have to expand on what you needed. Um,
Right. Yeah. And that takes me completely to the different story because I needed more the attention from them than my lunch. That was definitely there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's what actually happened. So the work is always about coming to meet what actually happened and finding, how is that okay? How is that a good thing? And then when I do that, then I experience peace. When I try to keep changing what happened, then it's stress.
No,
So
that's thank you. That's really great point. Yeah, I see that. Mm.
great. Okay. So I was able to say and do what I needed in that moment. What I needed was to stay and talk with them.
And
Yeah.
even to convince myself that I didn't stick nothing on the yeah to still my lunch was somewhere else, not on the yeah on
Yes.
the
And then maybe it won't be burned so badly. Like, all of this was part of what happened. And this is what I said, like, in the beginning, when I'm doing the work on myself, it's more about accepting myself. Like, even when I did something I don't like, it's making peace with what I did. So our turnaround here is doing just that. It's showing us that even though I would have maybe liked to do it a different way, in reality, this is how I did it. And so now the turnaround saying, how is it okay that you did it that way? And here it is. So any other examples like that of how you were able to say and do what you needed in that moment?
I was totally able to say and do because I was saying lots of things to them as well. We've been discussing our project, and that's what I wanted to do in that moment. And I really like that. I didn't want to cut any connection because it was so nice and was going really energetically. We've been discussing so well the further project. And yeah, I was just standing what I needed. I needed to be there with them and stand in front of them. So
Mhm.
I've been perfectly doing what I needed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. Okay. So that's the turnaround. That's a real turnaround for the beating yourself up that started out, you know, the I was unable to say and do what I needed in that moment, and I'm so stupid. Like, this is the opposite. So this is about balance. Always the turnaround's about balance. And it doesn't mean you can't question the other stuff, like we talked in the beginning about the motives. Like, I want them to like me. I can't break the connection. If I go check, I will break the connection. These are all thoughts that can be questioned separately. But since we're just questioning this one, which is basically self-attack, I was unable to do what I needed, then the turnaround just balances that one thought. And then it comes to, okay, it's okay that I did that.
Yeah, and that's great. Yeah, I feel already better.
Yeah, okay. So is there any other turnaround?
Well, I put my thinking into this.
Okay.
So as my thinking was unable to say and do what I needed.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, now I see it both ways. Probably there's lots of other ways. But yeah, of course, my thinking wasn't thinking that. That definitely is not the case, because I was standing there with them.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any command from my thinking, just go up and take care of it and then just go down. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I like about the thinking turnaround, my thinking, is it's kind of a variation of turnaround to the self a little bit, but it's what I like about it is it makes a little separation between me and my thinking. So it's like I'm a little less attacking myself when I think, oh, my thinking was unable to say no. I almost feel compassion for myself that, considering my thinking, I almost had no choice, because that was the story that was running in my head at that moment. So it's like, it's just a softer way of doing that turnaround. Um, yeah, my thinking was unable to say or do. It's like I gain understanding for
When
myself.
when I replace me and thinking, and it's always I have this dilemma how to deal with this, to stick more or stick more to my thinking, because I mean the part of me in a way it's this or that. But when I put that's more and more coming now in the worksheets, when I say my thinking, it's almost like if thinking happens to me, I don't do this. It
Right.
happens to me. So there's something like it's almost like nature, like a wave or sun or something. It happened to me, this thinking at that moment. So
Yeah.
it takes the guilt from me as well that I didn't react in a certain way. Just like I've been, let's say, possessed by this thinking in that moment.
Yeah, that's the value of that turnaround to my thinking for me, is it shows me some of my innocence, because I cannot control what thoughts come into my head. I can't even control whether I believe them or not. Only thing I can do is question them, and sometimes I question them, sometimes I don't. So there's a lot of innocence there that starts to be seen when you look at it that way. That's the only point. Because look at where you started. The stressful thought was like a guilty thought. I'm bad. I did something stupid. And so the turnarounds keep bringing back that balance of, I'm not bad. I'm innocent. And it doesn't mean I can't keep increasing my awareness, questioning all the motives, questioning all the thoughts and stories connected. But in reality, I had no choice. I was believing, and so there's an innocence there, and that helps me to be more easy on myself.
Yeah, it's much kinder to
Yeah.
self, definitely. Yeah.
And people can sometimes misunderstand this and think that it means now I am like condoning that, or that I'm becoming like I can use this as a crutch or an excuse to do anything. But that's not the point. That's getting into the future. We're just dealing with this past experience in this one moment. And in my experience, I'm beating myself up. So I need some medicine to stop beating myself up. That's all this is. Just one drop of medicine. Then I can move forward and see what comes next.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Okay, great. So any other turnarounds or anything else there?
No, I can't see. Could you help me if you see others?
Um, I mean, some of
Because
them are
sometimes it's so only, yeah, this 1, 2 turnarounds that
often when you're doing the work on yourself, like it's just an I statement, there's often fewer turnarounds, maybe one or two.
Mhm.
Um, you could do Yahoo turnaround, but I think we kind of covered it already. It's Yahoo would be, I was
Yeah,
unable to say and do what I needed in that moment. Yay! How is it a good thing?
yeah, that's great because it feels really good.
Yeah. So
And I
find an example or two. What's an example for you?
thought that that would be that actually the actual food or this lunch wasn't so important for me than the discussion about the future project, which is obviously much more exciting and much more fruitful than the little piece of chicken. So that was the yeah. I mean, I did my choice in a sense, well, unconscious choice at that moment, but the choice was going through the for the project and to this mental discussion, then towards this kind of enjoyment of the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. So you now can see where your preferences are. Your preferences with these people, not with the chicken.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then again, it was another little bit, but probably it's important as well, because this person um, was representing for me, it was a man, elderly man, and he was kind of important man. And I thought like, it's almost like a patriarchy. And I almost feel like I was paralyzed. I should just be there and listen his orders and
Mhm.
just be there. So I couldn't move or do something else, even if it's in my interests to do something else. So
Yeah.
that was still feeling as well. And so I detected this as well. If it would be a woman, I would react differently. I would just like had total confidence with her and I would say, you know, just second, give me a second. And but I couldn't do this with this elderly man that I had this patriarchy respect for him.
So good. Yeah. So that's great that you detected that. That's a really clear judge your neighbor worksheet. I can't, I'm paralyzed by this man because whatever you think he will think, because he will not respect me if I stop and turn off the chicken, whatever it is. So this is a yay. This is a Yahoo, because now it becomes aware of this thinking, and it's a really clear situation. You can do some work on those things. So yeah.
Yeah. And there's again other thing not taking in my hands, not directing the whole situation. I was waiting for him to take care of the whole meeting that we had. I was just following. I wasn't in my standing on my, I didn't have an authority in this. Even it was happening in my house, in my space, and I gave so easily to him this authority. He didn't even ask for it,
right.
but I gave it automatically to this patriarchy figure, the whole authority, and I sacrificed my whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all beautiful, stressful thoughts that can be questioned. There's just like so many. You could sit in this one situation and write motives, write worksheets, write different, all kinds of different things going on in this one little situation. You could spend a month or more in this, in this one situation. And this is just the beginning, you know? The first one is attacking yourself. Now we're starting to uncover there's so many layers to this, and each one of those stressful thoughts can be questioned as well. So thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. That was excellent. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, you're very welcome.